Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the JK Experience. And man, I'm back flying solo. James is off doing stuff, creating stuff, taking care of stuff. So I'm back in the studio, and it's kind of good because I really want to talk. If you've not noticed over the last couple of weeks, man, we've been having some really hard conversations between James and myself, James and a lot of the things in our companies. And man, I think it's just going to be really good for me to kind of dive into and be a little bit raw, just to you. Man, it has been, I don't know about you. I'm curious to know, like, how's your year started? We've talked about like your word for the year. We've talked about like, hey, how have you prepared yourself to have an amazing 2020? And you can hear from James and I in our conversations, like, we are so excited about the potential and what is the opportunity that we see in our marketplace for these different companies. But alongside of all of that comes a lot of really challenging issues that we're having to face. And as I've told you before, like, one of the things about this podcast is that you're going to see is that we're going to be real. And when I'm sucking and when I'm getting freaking run over, those are the things that we're going to talk about. And I know that oftentimes when you listen to podcasts, you're going to hear all of the great things, and you're going to hear about all of the processes that they took. And hey, listen, it was really hard when we had to do this, but then all of a sudden we did this, and this turned into this, and then all of a sudden our company was achieving all of these great levels. And those are great things, and I love it. And I still listen to those podcasts, but dude, I find myself more and more trying to find podcasts where I'm like, what are you going through right now just to get through that season in your life, that chapter in your business? And there's not a lot of podcasts out there that way that talk about this stuff that, like, hey, listen, this is what happened this week, not 20 years ago. But this podcast is different because we are literally talking to you about conversations that happened this day or this week. And we're grinding it out. And you're going to see it evolve because we're going to reflect on some of these conversations and say, hey, listen, we handled that completely horrible. Or, hey, listen, we handled that in a way that now we've started to see how that's been a positive impact in our companies. So over the last couple of weeks, we've had some really challenging talks. And, I gotta tell you, I'm just going to be really, really truthful and really raw right now, is that, over the last 2 weeks, man, I have really been challenged. I've been really, really challenged, in a number of areas of my life. And I'll tell you that I feel like I've been failing. My word for the year is fire. And as I told you before, like, I was so excited about this word fire because I knew of the great opportunities that this word could mean in my life. But I also was scared because I felt like, I could take this approach of trying to burn everything down. And I feel like to a certain point, there's been a lot of burning in my life. When we got done with 75 Hard, it really changed my perspective on how I was treating my health and my vitality, how I was treating the disciplines in my life. And as I approached 2020, I made this commitment that I wanted to up my game when it came to my health. I wanted to up my game when it came to like what I was taking in and eating and my energy sources. And then I had a situation where I had to go back. I had to have a procedure done because of a circumstance that happened when I was playing baseball. I had my stomach herniate into my esophagus, which caused scarring, and it was causing me to choke just randomly on foods that I should have no issue eating. And I've been battling this over a number of years, and I finally went again and got my throat stretched so that I could really go about life without having the fear of choking on some type of food. Well, along that process, it became known that, like, hey, listen, I could possibly live a normal life. I could, like, right now, I can't swallow pills. There's certain foods that I stay away from because of the hazard of potential choking. And so as I was talking to the doctor, he's like, dude, I can get you through a process. I can get you to a normal size throat. And Dude, I'm telling you what, I've never heard that for over 10 years. And I've been challenged with this for, 15 years now, but for 10 years, I've been going to the doctor every 3 years or so to get my throat stretched so I could have a relatively normal life. And this doctor's the first one that said, dude, I can get you back so that you could, swallow pills without choking. You could actually have an open airway so you wouldn't have to worry about the breathing. You wouldn't have to worry about the choking hazard. And I was so excited, but it was quickly followed up by, but the problem that I'm seeing is that I feel like you have a food allergy and you're going to have to go through a 6-food elimination diet. And, I was up for the challenge. I'm like, okay, let's do this, because I wanted to get to the end result, which was the success, which was I'm going to live a relatively normal life and I won't have to worry about it choking, and that I could actually get to this point where my esophagus was actually large enough to actually swallow a pill, which would be phenomenal. But along the 6-food elimination diet, I was getting rid of a lot of the energy sources that I was using in order to maintain the energy that I needed throughout the day and throughout my week. And literally a month into this process, I was basically crashing. I was losing weight. And for me, and I know this sounds weird, but for those of you that are out there that challenge with putting on weight because you're too skinny, that you're trying to maintain a certain level because you continue to keep losing it, it's just as hard of a struggle for those that are constantly trying to lose that weight. We're always looking at what we're putting into our body. We're always looking about the amount of food, the quality of the food, the type of food that we're eating, because we don't like to be skinny. When we're skinny, we're unhealthy. We don't feel good. The bones ache, right? We look like crap. And after I got done with when I got done with 75 hard, I was maintaining a relatively healthy weight. I was a little bit lower than I wanted to be. Well, I didn't hit my goal, but I was eating really clean and I felt good. As soon as I got done with that and I had to go on this 6-food elimination diet, I lost almost 10 more pounds. 10 more pounds was like a very unhealthy weight for me. And it was so frustrating because I was still working my butt off. I was eating better and healthier than I've ever had in my life. And my energy levels were crashing. And so I started thinking in my head, like, dude, is there something wrong with me? Like, is there something going on internally that I'm not aware of? Like, is there something that's slowly destroying my body? And, for those that know that I had some skin cancer this past summer that I was removed. And it was one of those things where it's like, when you go and get tested in your life and you find out that you have something that you never thought you did, and you go, wait a second, like, how did I not know this? Or how did I get this? Right. And one of the thoughts that I've had, or the fears that I've had, is like, as I got older, and I started doing more testing, that, the doctors would come in and say that, hey, listen, you've got stage 4, whatever. And as I was losing this weight and I was losing my energy, I'm going, okay, is there something internally that's going on? And so then the head game started happening, and I really started to struggle with my attitude. I really started to struggle about, like, what is going on? Why? And I don't know about you, but like, do you ever get to that point where you're just like, what the freak is going on right now? Why I'm doing everything right. At least I think I am. I'm trying everything I can to control the situation. I'm trying to be proactive in it, but nothing is turning out the way that it should be. And that's kind of what's been going on, it seems like, for like 6 weeks here. And especially over the last 2. And I will tell you that I had literally almost 2 weeks here, you guys, that I was just really struggling with myself. And I was having harder conversations, and I was having reactions to conversations more intensely than I typically do. And I want to walk you through the process because I feel like I've actually gotten through it. Now, it doesn't mean that I'm not going to be challenged. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to have that breakdown, or that I'm going to handle a situation correctly the next time. But I will tell you this: like, I feel like I've done everything I can, and I'm making progress. I'm moving forward to seeing and realizing the man that I had been creating for so long. And I feel like I'm getting back to me, right? Have you ever felt like you've lost who you are? Have you ever felt like you're not the person that you have been, and it's not a good thing? You're not the better version of yourself. You're actually the worst version of yourself. You're seeing yourself in a light where you're like, dude, I do not like the person I'm seeing in the mirror. And that's kind of how I felt like for the last two weeks. I definitely know that I was not the husband I should have been for the last 2 weeks. I definitely know that I was not the father that I needed to be in the last 2 weeks. I definitely know that my reactions in my businesses and the people that are part of our companies were not getting the best version of me over the last 2 weeks. And that ship needed to be righted. And I was trying to figure it out as I went. And so what I did is I had to go back and I had to look at all my notes. I had to look at the things that I was doing in my past to make sure that I was staying in those disciplines, as I've talked about before, about disciplines and how important they are in your life. But I had to go back and say, okay, do I need to change my disciplines? Are there things that I need to be doing in my life differently that are not working for me or they are not serving me? And so I just wrote down a couple notes here about the 3-step process that I took. So step 1 was that I had to just sit back. I literally just had to sit back. You guys, I've talked about the stacks, and this was a process that I learned through Warrior over the years, and I started to stack again situations and even myself in my life, and it started to help me look and see the other side of the story. It helped me see the other perspective that I was missing, and the blind spots that were on the side of my life. But I had to sit back and I just had to calm the heck down, right? I'm so used to just attacking the problem. I'm so used to attacking the solution that I would cause one more boulder to get hit. I would cause one more issue to come up. And I literally I had the moment last night after all of this stuff, and I just literally had to sit back and go, okay, I think I've identified every reason why I've been upset, every reason that I have to blame other things and other people and other situations. And I had to just sit back and go, okay, at the end of the day, if I'm responsible for everything in my life, if I am at fault for every bad decision that's been in my life, what am I willing to do about it? Number 2 is what I did that I learned, and I've only learned recently, is that I've had to give authority to other people. I've had to give authority to people in my life to say, dude, you better knock it off. Dude, I don't like the person that I'm seeing. Hey, however you think you're handling this situation, and if you think it's appropriate, you better change it now. And I've always had some people in my life that I've given authority to, but I expanded that this week. And I'm going to tell you, if you have never given authority to people in your life to call you out, to actually hold you accountable to the things that you say and that you believe in, you better find out who those people in your life are that you can give authority to. Because it helped tremendously to me. I had conversations with people through the last 2 weeks to say, you have authority in my life, and I want you to call me out. I want you to be that person that if I am jacking around, if I am pulling out my BS, or if I'm trying to burn stuff down that shouldn't be, then I need you to have that freedom to help me see what I'm doing. And last night, I tell you guys, we were laying in bed. Kate and I were talking about it. I was just telling my frustrations about my energy and the food intake and all these things that were leading and compounding and building up and compounding. And I wasn't able to attack situations that I know in the past I could have, or I wasn't able to handle situations that I know in the past I could have. And it was awesome because I sat back and I realized, oh my gosh, I have to remind her that she has authority in my life. And so I gave it to her again. She always had it, but I needed to remind her that she had it. And the conversation that happened after that was amazing. And so we started to strategize. We started to create a plan. And so we started to identify some things that maybe I was missing because I was so focused on the problem. I wasn't realizing all of the things that were around it that may be the ones that might be the things that are actually helping me create this problem. And I also just needed a confidant, right? I needed somebody to say it was okay, that I wasn't tackling this all on my own. I needed somebody to say, hey, listen, have you thought about this idea? Or, hey, listen, if you do this, that's okay. Who do you have in your life that you can count on to help you walk through and challenge you and identify the things that are going to help you right the ship in your life? If you don't have that person, you need to find them ASAP. And step 3 in this process was for me literally to just start to take action. So yesterday, we come up with the plan. We've identified some solutions that we think are possible about how we're going to attack this problem that I'm having and facing and all these things, right? And once again, it's all, the root of the whole thing is like energy. Like I just don't have the energy, which is compounding into these other areas of my life. I'm not able to show up like the dad that I want to be, the husband I want to be, the businessman I want to be, the man I want to be, all of those things, right? It's all stacking because of the energy that I don't have. And so we started to figure out some ways for me to change that and maybe attack it and add energy in certain areas of my health. And it started this morning. And so I changed my diet, but I also changed my outlook, and I also changed the way I respond to things. And I started to take action in those areas of my life that I could control, because there's so many things in our life that we think we can control and we have no control over it. And the sooner you realize that, the sooner you can move on, the sooner that you can start being proactive. And I'm going to challenge you. This is a hard part in our lives right here, because we want to control every aspect of our life. And the sooner you realize that you have very little control in a lot of areas in your life, but the things that you can control are massive, that's when things start to change. So I started to look at the things I could control back in my life again. And here I am, day 1. And tomorrow's going to be day 2. And the next day is going to be day 3. But I know what I'm committed to doing. I've outlined my process. And now it's time for me to just take action. So my question to you is, where across your business, health, vitality, your relationships, are you challenged with something in those areas that you are not able to control? Where across those areas do you need to sit back, identify everything that's going around them, give authority to people in those spaces, and start to come up with a plan so you can start to take action? If you want 2020 to be an amazing year, first of all, you have to understand you're going to have challenges. But second of all, you have to be able to identify when those challenges come, what is your process? As much as I didn't want to go through this process, as much as I didn't want to go through the last 6 weeks to the last 2 weeks, to especially the last 2 weeks, I tell you what, I'm so glad that I went through this process, because now I have an idea of what to do in the future, because I know for a fact that I'm going to go through this stuff again, because I'm not standing still. And I know you're not going to stand still. I know you want progress in your life. The question is, how do you go and make progress when hard times come? How do you make progress when challenges in your life are upon you? Sit back, give authority, and take action. Sit back, give authority, and take action. So who are you going to send this to? You know that there's somebody out there right now that needs to hear this message. My last challenge for you today is to find that person. Go help make a difference in their life. Talk to you soon.